Live here tonight in the Sim500 Coastal Safety Auditors Cup Series. I'm Matt Egan, joined by Jacob Young. How you doing tonight, Jacob?
Doing fantastic, and we're ready to see some great action from Homestead here. It's the first test for these drivers because, of course, they race basically 2 more times this week at Homestead, Miami, so it'll be interesting to see how these drivers kind of can adapt from car to car, especially with the Cup cars that have the most, in my opinion, the most traction and downforce for at least this track. Of course, the low line will be an interesting just line to see if a lot of drivers use it at the start of the race.
Yeah, 133 laps, the scheduled distance tonight. And right now, it looks like Donnie Leah, the fast time, should be pretty interesting to see how that plays out through the entire night. You think he'll remain the fast driver?
Well, it could be a possibility. We'll have to find out. Of course, only time will tell, because you could have a short run speed to a long run speed. Hopefully he can get a long run speed. It looks like he does with a 31.661, so that'll be interesting to see what it's going to be like for him in this race as it's moments away.
Yeah, and right now, qualifying just wrapping up, as you said. And yeah, you see Justin Fuller second, EJ O'Rourke, Byron Daly, Glenn Campbell. A little bit further back, as you notice, some of these guys still in their schemes from Thursday night. We saw the Irwin Tools car looking good on track. But anyway, what is your predictions for tonight here?
Predictions for tonight here, it could come down to a fuel run in, well, the end of this race, because just due to the fact of if we don't have a lot of cautions, which is very possible too because of how much these drivers will get strung out. Now, of course, they'll have to watch out with their tires. We could see some blown tires here tonight as well. And why I say that is because peak antifreeze. Wow, the Coca-Cola series actually had some blown tires at their own race here at Homestead. So
Yeah,
it's very possible to do that.
That'll be interesting to see. We haven't really seen that be an issue since Las Vegas in the Xfinity cars, but we'll see how it plays out. Donnie Leah, Justin Fuller, row 1, row 2, EJ O'Rourke, Byron Daly, Cataloni, Beasley at row 3, Gonzalez, Simley, Falkingham, Campbell, Randy Yoakum, Kevin Brown, Brian Fallen, Bobby Wetzel, Dwight Beverly, Stephen Ritter, Burnett, and Jabu, Coleman, O'Leary, West, Arnold, Matthews, Key, Ryan, Schoonover, Watkins, and Burrell, Johnson, Hardin, Small, Strayer, Comstock, Mojisa, and Cole, and Ryan, Cully, Overstreet, Yarrow, Haring, Simon, Wilco, and Henderson round out your field. Full field of drivers here tonight. So a big group of guys, and it should be a great night of racing here on the American Sim Network. As we get ready to roll off here, who's your pick to win it tonight? Last week at Atlanta, we saw Daniel Falkingham go to victory lane. So it'll be interesting to see if he can kind of repeat on that one.
Exactly. Falkingham starts in 9th position. You got Jose Gonzalez starting in 7th. He was pretty good at Atlanta last week too, so he'll be an interesting one. But I will have to go with none other than, I think, EJ O'Rourke. He starts in 3rd position. Looks like he's in a great position to maybe even make something happen for maybe a race win.
Yeah, that is for sure. And right now, you can see here, cars getting ready to go green. Donnie Lee, I think this is his first pole of the season. We have not talked much about the driver of that Good Wrench Service Plus machine. But there he is, sitting on pole. And you take a look here. He is actually currently scored 48th in the point standings. His first race was last week at Atlanta. He started on pole there, I should say. So back-to-back poles, though he finished 17th. I'll let you get the green here.
All right, pace car down and away. And we're racing here at Homestead Miami Speedway. Looks like the high line got a better line than got a better start than the inside line, as I don't believe that our leader got off to a good start, and that was Donnie Leah.
Yeah, no, he did not. It looked like he was asleep at the wheel on that restart, without a doubt. Justin Fuller pulls away to a fantastic start. Byron Daly behind him. Donnie Leah will have to slot into third place behind them. Looks like E.J. O'Rourke fourth. Cataloni battling it out with Scott Simley. Scott is up on that top lane, I think. Excuse me.
Yeah.
And you see Daniel Falkingham behind them, last week's winner. You think he has a shot here tonight. Of course, only 2 laps in, so very early to make any kind of prediction.
Exactly. He's already gained 1 position according to iRacing here, and he might end up deciding to kind of take it easy on the start of this race, if not trying to push to the front early and then saving his tires for the later runs. I found out that really just as long as you have a good entry into the corners, you can really roll the race car all the way through the corners and make up time that way, even while saving your tires. So that could be something that he tries and does.
Yeah, it's a Chevy versus Chevy battle right now at the front, at the middle of the front of the field. That is going to be for 6th place if he can get it over the 12 Traxxas machine. So they go down into 1 and 2, and he gets the spot.
Fantastic job there by Falkenham getting that position, and now trying to maybe get E.J. O'Rourke up in 5th position, a driver who started 3rd. So he's already making his way up front. We've seen on these mile-and-a-half tracks of how well Daniel Falkenham has been able to do. He had a decent run at Las Vegas as well. We don't want to also forget about his win last week. And why I was bringing up basically all those mile-and-a-halves is because he's just been that dominant factor. He's been that dominant factor all season, but really on these mile-and-a-half racetracks, he's shined the brightest by far.
Well, without a doubt. And you go back to Las Vegas, you said a good run at Las Vegas. Well, I would hope so, because he won at Las Vegas. So far, he has won at every mile-and-a-half racetrack we have been to. This making our 3rd appearance at a mile-and-a-half track. Do you think he goes 3 for 3? There's a potential for it. I mean, the odds are in his favor given his track record so far.
Exactly. Very possible that he does exactly that and gets the victory, but of course only time will tell. Strategy needs to fall into place for him, and well, pit stops. How much is he going to be pushing the race car? It seems like he knows how to push on these types of race tracks. This is the toughest mile-and-a-half, in my opinion, that we have to go for, not including, of course, next week at the almost reconfigured Texas Motor Speedway.
Now, I want to point out, though, the other driver that has finished in the top 5 every single race at a mile-and-a-half, it is E.J. O'Rourke. He finished 4th at Las Vegas and then 2nd at Atlanta. All he needs now is to cap that off with a win here tonight. Now, I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but I am saying that he is steadily improving his mile-and-a-half results, and he's 1 spot ahead of Daniel Falkingham right now, 8 laps into this race.
Exactly. Yeah, that is my pick to actually win the race, is E.J. O'Rourke. So he's sitting in 5th position, kind of saving up his stuff as well. He's almost in no man's land, if you want to take it that way. He's kind of in that split between the lead pack and the pack of the top 10. So just sitting in a good position. Now he's getting caught just a little bit by Daniel Falkingham, but yes, you're correct on that. EJ O'Rourke, very impressive, has been basically almost all season long. Not even those mile and a halves. He's also been impressive, if I'm not mistaken, at those, well, 2 milers and short tracks.
Yeah, and right now, you can see here, we'll look a little further back, a driver that I think we should put a spotlight on, Jose Gonzalez. He's looking pretty fast right now. Again, we're only a handful of laps into this race, but he has had a pretty good last few weeks. And you actually look, he's actually, wow, 50th in the point standings. He finished 10th at Daytona, but 28th at Auto Club. Mind you, he started 8th at Auto Club, so he's starting good here tonight. I got a feeling that Homestead might be a good track for him. He's running right now 9th position. That's kind of where you want to be. Although he did get 97 laps into the race at Auto Club, I think it's kind of one of those issues where he's got to get through this race and get to the end.
Yeah, exactly. You just really need to focus on making laps and making sure that you can stay out of trouble. He is sitting in 9th position, but everything needs to go right. You can't slide into your pit box, especially if this thing does go green throughout totally green 5 pit stops, which is looking like it's very possible. The pit entrance is very difficult. We've already seen, or even I've already seen a couple of drivers spin out trying to head into the pit lane. And so it's just a matter of all of that can factor in. Will you get caught up in a wreck that's not your fault? Will you go 3 wide and then, of course, somehow get taken out? All of those can factor in. You just have to focus on, well, I've got to do my job, and that's to finish this race. Anything better, and that's going to be perfect.
Yeah, that is for sure. And Richard Beasley, a driver that is definitely showing his ability to do well, is currently 4th, though it looks like Byron Daly might be going for that race lead as we get on to lap 13 here. Byron Daly gone to the inside. He got by Donnie Leah, pushes Leah up to that middle line. Now we've seen here at Homestead, you can run the middle to high line, and you can do it quite successfully. At the moment, though, that's not happening. It's still too early on in the race, so Byron Daly able to get the race lead away from Donnie Leah.
Yeah, exactly. But that middle to high line, you talk about it maybe being a little too early. That's actually the fastest place, or the grippiest place at the start of the race. The low line really can't come into play until later on. You don't even want to be there on the late restarts and things like that. So really on that high line, you see how kind of they exit kind of near that wall. That's exactly where you want to be, and it's going to be interesting to see if he can get, well, back the positions that he lost. Is Donnie Leah in 3rd place now. Justin Fuller in 2nd. Will maybe be trying to go for the race lead here soon.
Yeah, I'm sure Leo will get those spots back because you watch him right now, right, Jacob? And you notice he's running that kind of middle to high, well, I wouldn't say high line, but he's running the middle line in 1 and 2. And I think you touched on it, coming off of 3 and 4, he's definitely running up more towards the wall than the other drivers. So I think that he's definitely going to gain him back. It's going to be a matter of time, though, and it's going to take a little more time than he probably is going to want it to, but I think he'll get it back.
Yeah, exactly. As long as he doesn't really lose time to the drivers behind him, kind of like we've stated before, race by your rear view mirror. Like, just constantly look at your rear view mirror because it can psych you out and you can lose a lot more time than you would like. He's still trying that middle line, and it seems like he's very focused on just trying to gain those positions back. Remember, he's in a perfect position here early on because while we're talking about maybe pit stops, that'll be around lap 50.
Yeah, on board. We were on board with a moment with Justin Fuller. Now on board with Leah back here in 3rd place. Dead good. Good-looking GM car, and you can see he's right up by that outside wall down the backstretch. Again, even higher than some of the other drivers down the back straightaway, and then he runs higher in that middle line than some of the others through 3 and 4. We'll go back on board with Justin Fuller as it looks like he is getting ready to set up a pass for that lead potentially.
Yeah, exactly. Right on Byron Daly's bumper. It'll be interesting to see if he can get a really good run on corner exit, able to do exactly that. Now right on the back bumper of Byron Daly once again. He's not going to look for a pass just yet as Daly takes the line away from him.
I think he's trying to set it up.
It's going to be perfect.
I think what he's trying to do is trying to, either set up that pass and go low into one of these corners and really try and cut it in deep, or he might be trying to maybe get the air off the back of that 06 machine, maybe either get him loose or get him really tight, and maybe get Daly up towards that outside wall, get him to roll out of that throttle, which would make that pass a whole lot easier if he could achieve something like that. Less work you have to do as a driver is always the better situation for you to be in. So if you can get that 06, maybe get him to make a mistake going into the corner, tighten it up, and just have him to have to roll out of that throttle even momentarily where he doesn't want to, could let him just slip in right there. And that would be big benefit, big piece to benefit Justin Fuller.
I agree 100%, kind of like a little fake logo high or something like that where the faster line will be, as he is going to go inside the middle, just doesn't have enough speed to try and make that pass, but exactly what you're talking about, just trying to do it. Almost looked to the inside there as tried to peek, but decided not to take that
look
opportunity.
To the high line. Which is a little bit interesting. It didn't really work out there. He didn't get the run I think he was hoping for. I think he was hoping for something to materialize going into that corner, and then the car just looked like it stalled out,
Exactly. It can do exactly that. Maybe, indeed, he also got a little too tight, and so it kind of went up, and he had to lift off a little.
That's a
possibility,
possibility,
is very possible.
I didn't even consider that. You're right on there. That could have very, very easily happened. And we continue to watch this battle for the lead. At the moment, we'll look further. Excuse me. We will look a little bit further back, and you see these drivers battling in the midfield. Look at Stephen Burnett in the number 5. And we'll go on board with him. And he's right around the 75, Eric Arnold. Arnold trying to not get past. This will be for 15th place, which can be a pretty significant position now. And it looks like he might lose that spot. Now, one driver who's had a good season, had a good beginning to the season and seems to be falling off, it's David Comstock. He's not, we haven't talked about him inside the top 10 in a while, and you remember at the beginning of the season, he looked like he might have been a, championship contender.
Yeah, exactly. Some of these races sometimes aren't your best. Remember, we went to Atlanta and we went to, of course, we had Phoenix, but he finished, I believe, inside the top 5 at least, or the top 10 there. And the big things have just been, of course, these mile-and-a-half racetracks, Atlanta and now Homestead. Those are very difficult tracks to really gain some good finishes. Now, he is
getting a great run right now. He might have something for 15th. Little bit of contact on the back of that 5 machine there. I mean, you saw that into 3. He got a much better run than the 5 or the 75 of Arnold, and that's because he's not side by side with anyone, and he can pull a lot more speed because there's no aerodynamics working on the side of his race car.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the most frustrating things, especially at this racetrack, where you can just go, where if you're going side by side, you just stalling each other out. And then, of course, the driver behind you wants to make a pass, and sometimes they will try it for 3 wide, as he is able to make a
He's
good
run there. He's going to go for 15th here, and there it is. You knew that was coming. Comstock just a lot faster than those two.
Indeed, he was found that speed. Moment. Especially has early speed. Now have a little bit of fresh air in front of him, so he'll be able to try and catch up to none other than, if I'm not mistaken, Dwight Beverly in 14.
Yep. Yes, indeed. Dwight Beverly. Like, we got one in the wall. That's the Irwin Tools car. I think, who is that? The 44, Glenn Campbell. I think that's the Irwin Tools car. Just had a bit of an issue at the moment, as he now will have to regather that car. He tagged the outside wall down the front stretch. He's next to Randy Yoakum. This will be for 11th place with Yoakum making that pass, and you knew Yoakum was going to get by him. I mean, he lost all his momentum, all his speed when he clipped that outside wall.
Yeah, exactly. That can happen, especially if you're running too close to the wall. Just stalling out your speed, having to regroup. It's the worst feeling in the world because you get cars passing you and you nothing about it. So as long as he regroups and makes sure that basically it doesn't happen again because it's still early in this race, so he'll be able to make that up in no time.
You know, it's a bad feeling, but you know it's a worse feeling than that? If he had lost the car completely and had gone into the inside wall and been out of the race. So he's probably happy that all that came of that was he lost one position. As you look a little further back, Comstock got by Dwight Beverly. Comstock looked like he flipped a switch on that race car. He is, I mean, moving through the field. He's making progress now. Brian Fallon trying to put him a spot back now, but he's not going to have any help from Dwight. And that might have just stalled the 42 right in the water at 14th place.
Very, very possible. But look at that group right in midfield. We're just talking about as close as can be. As well, drivers are now thinking about maybe going 3 wide some just to try and kind of get a run.
A little bit of close between, what was that, Eric Arnold and Beverly. I thought there might have been contact.
Yeah, it got tight, slid up the racetrack.
Well, that's what they're going to have to watch out for. Look at how Eric's going to dive it in there all the way to the white line. But they're going to have to watch out for that now as that tire wears out. I mean, the tire's going to wear out. That car's going to start to get tighter going into these corners.
Yeah, exactly. It's 31 laps into this race. We haven't had a caution flag, so I would expect that these drivers are feeling it. You're starting to lose at least a second, maybe 2 seconds by now on your lap time. So it's a lot of drivers that have saved the tires, even from the back of the field, are now catching up to you and wanting to make some passes because they can push.
Yeah, now I haven't driven this track in a while, but I know one common issue, you know, you get real tight in and you get loose off. So I'm wondering if some of these drivers might be combating that, especially like we've been saying, when that tire starts to wear out.
And indeed, that does happen. You can kind of feel it, especially in turns 3 and 4, right on the exit. If you're not careful, then the car will almost step out from under you. You'll be able to save it as long as you kind of feel it with the force feedback.
Dwight got a great run in.
Other than that, it's a common factor.
And you watch some of these guys when they come off the corner, you can kind of see it in the way they run the car. And I think that's what happened to Glenn Campbell earlier when he tagged the wall. He was loose off, tried to overcorrect it. And, well, he corrected it, but he corrected it right into the walls. We got 100 laps to go this time around. And right now, side by side for 13th place, I believe. Yes, it is. Pedro going for the spot. And he'll get it. Brian Fallon is falling back. I don't know what happened to him, but he's had some sort of an issue as he looks like he'll let Eric Arnold by potentially.
Exactly. Probably, just like we said, pushed a little too hard maybe is the case there, because there's not a lot of things. It doesn't look like he has damage on his car, so basically just an issue of probably over driving it from the start of this race. You get excited, nerves build, and you want to push as hard as you can, especially starting almost midfield, like almost exactly midfield. You want to try and gain those positions in the first stint. Well, sometimes patience will be key.
Thomas O'Leary on the outside lane, 008. He was looking for a spot on Michael Yarrow, and that's not going to happen. Yarrow on the bottom line. He's got the faster race car right now. At the very least, has the better line. But you watch Thomas. He got a good run into that corner. Just nothing on corner exit. That seems to be the issue right there, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It really does. And it's, well, you talk about it, it's all about that entry. As long as you can get that entry correct, it's very difficult to mess up that exit. But as long as, well, he just keeps pushing it and hopefully it can fix after the pit stops, then it'll be set to probably gain a couple more positions after that.
Yeah, I bet you he'll pick up someone in the next run, but his issue right now, you'll watch, and it looks like through the middle of the corner is where he loses his speed, because he's had good runs in, but just it doesn't materialize through the corner. That seems to be the issue, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Just not rotating enough through the corner could be very difficult. So I see one car riding up close to the wall. They'll lose a couple more positions as well. That was in the backfield.
And right now, we'll take a little look further back. You see Josh Cully back there, Chris Gibu, James Small. Now these drivers, they might have thought, well, maybe we'll have to ride it out for a yellow flag. But at this point, I don't think we're going to get that yellow flag at least for a very long while in this race.
Exactly. Maybe during the first green flag pit stops, as some drivers don't really necessarily love to use the access road heading into pit lane, and instead avoid that and try and brake as hard as they can just on that entrance where there's a little extra space to try and dive down pit lane as well. So very possible that we could see it around that time. If not, well, then the way that this race has been going on, we could see it won by strategy and only strategy, where it just stays green for 133 laps. It's very possible how skilled these drivers are. The whole 43 car field, may I remind you, as full of a field as it can get.
More full than what they run in real NASCAR nowadays. Now,
exactly, but I mean, it's eNASCAR now, and I think it'll just keep growing and growing, especially with no NASCAR on in real life.
Now, here's the interesting thing, and you touched on it, so I want to say thank you for reminding me about it. Pit road entry at this racetrack is a very interesting thing. You have to run that access road. If you don't, you get a black flag for unsafe pit road entry. So you have an issue there, because there will be a driver, and I guarantee you there's going to be at least one driver here tonight that forgets about that.
Yeah, that is very possible.
I'd bet money on it that there's going to be at least one driver on track going to go to pit, and they're going to forget that they have to take that access road, because I mean, it's a hard thing to remember, because when you go to most NASCAR tracks, and even Indianapolis, where you have an access road, you don't have to use it. You only have to use it here at Homestead, Miami. And that's where it becomes difficult to remember.
Yeah, indeed it is. Talking about Indy real quick, it's because it's interesting. There's a little bit of space on the low line, just like Homestead, but there are two lines saying that you can enter here still if you have to get into pit lane. So very possible, as we've got drivers already coming down pit lane, trying to get some fresh tires a little early, but still almost around the pit window.
We're about 43 laps in, 90 laps to go. Glenn Campbell's out and away. Remember, access road in, access road off. And keep an eye out if you see a few drivers come back down. Don't be surprised. I'm telling you, there's going to be at least one or two that might forget about it. And you can see so far most of the drivers have not. Well, I found one. Matt Strayer. And you can watch the 24. We're watching the replay here. You see Strayer down on the apron. He misses the entry. And that actually might be a hold penalty. It might not be a stop and go, but either way, they get flagged for unsafe pit entry. I don't recall if it's a hold or stop and go, but Strayer has the issue. It would be disastrous if, say, one of the leaders had it happen to them.
Yeah.
That's where you'd run into your real issue. You see Daniel Falkingham now racing for about 6th place. Pretty exciting racing here.
Indeed, it is as I go to 6th position to see this battle here. As I was looking at, of course, the 24, but fantastic battle. They'll have to try and hold off the 12 car of Scott and Simon, which seems like they've been racing basically all together for this whole entire race of the 46 laps. He'll let him by, I believe this time on, well, he's got the high line, but Simon just looks like he's got the better run on that low line.
Does.
He will indeed get that position.
Oh, Daniel Falkingham's pitting. And he pitted wrong.
Pit lane. So he did miss. He did
As
not
did
take
the
the
08.
access road, so we'll see
And
what
the
happens
08
here.
wrecked.
He might not have even slowed down enough.
Yeah, we'll watch Falkingham here. Yeah, I'm telling you, I mean, you have to use the road. Falkingham didn't, so that might be a stop-and-go penalty. I don't know, you know. I mean, you saw he wasn't held for any additional length of time.
Exactly. He wasn't held for any additional time. I don't believe the 24 was. I didn't get to see if the 24 actually had to go back down pit lane. It looks like a lot of drivers are doing that, as one driver actually missed the entrance of pit lane.
Yeah, I saw that. Who was that? Did you catch who that was? I saw that too off the corner of my screen. Driver, I mean, he completely missed it. And that's going to kill him speed-wise.
Looks like, well, the driver was already a lap down. That was Ed Burrell.
Yeah, that's unfortunate right there. You never want to see that happen. And he'll probably lose yet another lap in that situation. I'm surprised. Maybe it's, I don't know if there is a penalty associated or not. I remember there used to always be a penalty if you didn't use that access road.
Yeah, it looks like that has changed, as I don't believe it is a penalty, as multiple drivers now, of course, not using that access road on at least entrance. You do have to use it on exit.
It might be a 1 second hold. And potentially they're serving it as soon as they hit the box. I mean, I'm not entirely sure. But at any rate, it looks like Byron Daly is still the race leader. Top 9 drivers are yet to hit the pits. And when do you think they come down?
I'd say that top 9 drivers really will start to come down when they really can't take it. So maybe in a couple more laps, they'll just stay out and try and push on maybe the remaining rubber that they have on their tires. But it's very possible that they will be down very soon, as Richard Beasley able to get a lap back. Now it's going to be 10 drivers back on the lead lap here.
Yeah, and right now you can see Byron Daly still leading the show. And it's pretty interesting to see. You know, I'm just surprised they haven't pitted yet, to be honest, because you would expect them to have pitted with the main group. But that, you know, that appears to not have been the case. As you can watch these guys rolling around. Thomas O'Leary among that group. E.J. O'Rourke. Now, you saw some of these drivers that pitted early. You know, not Comstock, but Falkingham and stuff. As you look, Donnie Leah in 4th place. He is 3 wide, and all those drivers, Dwight Beverly, Uh, Jose Gonzalez and everyone around him right now. Oh, there might have been a spin. What a save by Jose Gonzalez. Steven Ritter splits the bottom to get by. You see the 12 car in that as well. The 17 of Chad Cole. But, I mean, wow, did you see that save?
Yeah, what a save by Gonzalez, as I believe that at least one driver, that will be Jose Gonzalez coming down pit lane. He could already feel it, so could have a little bit of a tire go down or something like that, but felt it and decided, you know what, heading down pit lane, going to get 4 fresh Goodyear tires and some Sunoco fuel. So good job for his awareness of not, well, A, crashing the car, and B, crashing the field as well, and being able to get down pit lane.
Yeah, without a doubt. What I was trying to say was that, and we got a caution, there is a crash, as the 51, Justin Fuller, has gone for a bit of a go. What happened to him here? It looks like he might have gotten contact from a car with fresher tires. He was trying to pit. He was trying to pit, and Steve Herring didn't know he was trying to come down pit lane, and right there, I was trying to say it's risky being around those guys on fresh tires. That's exactly why. So how about that? I mean, were you expecting to see that, number one? It was good for the drivers that hadn't yet pitted, but I mean, what were you expecting to see? I don't imagine that being at the top of your list.
Yeah, exactly. Really didn't expect to see that. I still expected it to stay green as well. And talk about luck. Jose Gonzalez dives down pit lane right at that time, and then a caution flag flies, and he's able to get out. So didn't even have a chance to get lapped. He'll be on that lead lap at around 20th position, and, well, he won't even have to pit because he just did it. So he'll be on as fresh of a set of tires as these drivers will. If I had to guess, well, probably everybody coming down except for a couple of drivers like Jose Gonzalez.
Yeah, right now, Falkingham coming out of pit lane. He pitted again. Donnie Leah, your race leader. We'll be right back. coming back live here. Jacob Young will get you at the green here. And it should be a pretty good restart. What do you expect on this start here, Jacob?
A lot of drivers wanting to get back to single file just like they were before. And I think that it's going to be a pretty calm start, too, with just the way that these drivers were able to really get strung out before. This is the first caution that comes, well, very kind of in the middle of this race with 60 laps in now. Once we take the green flag, officially 61 laps, so it'll be, well, an interesting restart indeed, but expecting some good things out of it. As we are back racing here at Homestead, Miami. Another great restart by the 51 of Justin Fuller on that low line. He'll be able to take the lead and go up high.
Yeah, great restart there for Justin Fuller. As he's trying to pull away. EJ O'Rourke got a little bit loose there. I don't know if you saw that, but he had a little bit of an issue as he'll have to slot in line behind David Comstock. That is third place. Not a bad place to be, though, I'll say that. As we watch them now side by side a little bit further back. That is, I think, James Small, who was getting around Tommy Ryan. Well, trying to. Tommy Ryan saying no. Ryan wants the spot. What do you think there?
Well, Ryan does want the spot, but they're racing side by side. Caution flag is out, and I believe we have one in the grass.
Thomas O'Leary. Looks like he got loose all by himself. Prevented anything serious from happening. Justin Fuller, of course, your race leader still. We'll be right back on ASN. Well, we'll try it all again. Jacob Young calling the green once more. David Comstock now, your race leader.
But just like that, David Comstock will lead us to the green. And I mean, we talked about it a little bit from the start of this broadcast, that we haven't gotten to talk much about him since the early going of this season. Now he is your race leader with the pace car in pit lane. He'll lead us to the green. We're back racing here at Homestead. What a great restart by David Comstock once again to be able to get back on that high line to really dictate the lines.
Yeah, good restart, good running here, side by side. Beasley up on that high lane looking for the spot. And Richard Beasley's got a little bit of a run on Falkingham. And I don't think it's going to happen, though. That bottom line still seems to be pretty planted. But I wouldn't count Beasley out. They're still going to be neck and neck at the line. But I think Falkingham, just had a little bit more right there. That's exactly what I thought was going to happen there. And you saw it. Falkingham now going to get, I think, a little bit of a better run through the middle, but not off. Beasley a little bit faster off. 3 wide. Donnie Leah for the moment looking for the spot. Chad Cole also advancing his positions quite a bit.
Great battle there. As Donnie Leah, we'll just stay right behind each other in single file back out. They don't really want to risk just using up their tires. Still plenty of racing left for them. And now I think we'll start to see these drivers basically string out a little bit more and not necessarily see too much battling going on.
And right here you can see Donnie Leah a little further back in the field. He's trying to work his way up. Mind you, started on pole tonight. Started on pole last week, looking to break through and win from the pole. It is certainly possible. And right now, side by side for position. And Leah slotted back in to his spot right behind Justin Fuller there. Still side by side, though, further back. And I think that's what Thomas O'Leary in that Ford Mustang trying to get by Josh Cully. Cully up on that outside lane. He's got a little bit of rear end damage. And you think that's probably affecting him negatively right there?
I'd say it's affecting him just a little bit. Now, of course, you could go down pit lane when maybe another caution flag happens and get that straightened out as much as possible. Sometimes even iRacing just says you don't have any damage, or we can't basically fix that damage, so it can only affect you basically just so much. But for sure, with any rear spoiler damage like that, it would have to affect him for at least his rear to try to keep it planted on the ground on at least corner exit.
Yeah, and right now, one other thing to note, you notice Byron Daly, who was leading a lot of this race earlier, he is the first car a lap down. So he is probably hoping, for a caution flag anytime soon, as we have got a car just, what a save. I don't know who that was, but we'll find out. I mean, I tell you what, that was probably some incredible driving, and that was Kevin Brown. I think he's got a tire down. He's bouncing around like that, but he might be fine. No, he's all right. But that was a bit interesting to see what happened there to Kevin Brown. We got one driver slow, and that might become a caution. That is John Wilco. He had an issue. Here's the replay. So you can see Wilco here down the backstretch. Looks all right here. And got real slow, real out of shape. And then I think he's pitting, tried to pit. I don't know what happened to John there. I mean, did you see what happened?
I didn't get to see what happened to him there, but if I had to guess, it was not too great, but we are staying green. So, of course, just bad luck there for sure.
Yeah, without a doubt, crazy situation for him. Bad, bad for him, as you said. But look at Richard Beasley now trying to go for the race lead. Comstock, you know, we said it earlier tonight, hasn't had a good run since the very beginning of the season. Well, looks like he's having one tonight with 58 laps to go. Still a lot of racing left, though, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, you say unfortunately, I'd say fortunately for especially the drivers that are a lap down will have an opportunity maybe to gain their lap back in maybe that next caution. So still plenty of racing to go, and we'll see if Falkingham can hang on to the race leader. It can become David Comstock's again or Richard Beasley's. Now, interesting fact, I believe if I'm not mistaken, David Falkingham or Daniel Falkingham and David Comstock are teammates, so we might not see a lot of racing from both of them, as then they'll probably try and keep it as civil as possible, maybe until that last final lap.
You know, somehow I don't think so. I think that, you know, you got drivers, they want to win this race, and they're going to try and find a way to win this race. If they can, of course. But I just got a feeling that we're going to see it happen, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I get you for sure. I would have to guess maybe if that were to happen in the final 5 laps where they'll push each other basically to the limit and try and get the race win. But at any rate, I don't expect for them to race too much. I know it sounds shocking, but possibility that could be the case right there.
Well, we'll see just how it all plays out. Right now, it looks like you're probably right. They are kind of working with each other to try and separate from Pedro and Beasley and, you know, maybe try and form a little draft group. I know drafting not the biggest factor at these racetracks, but hey, it might come into play a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Always will come into play just a small bit because of the fact that you are racing right behind each other and you're trying to just get any advantage possible, especially down that backstretch. You see, if you had a run and try to pass somebody on the inside line and they had somebody behind them, it just would not work as well as you would think.
And right now, looks like Pedro going for second place. You know, that 29 car has been, you know, steadily creeping his way up through the field all night. We haven't really talked about him, but there you go, second place. Making us stand up and take notice. He's got a lot of speed in that race car as he goes for the lead on Daniel Falkingham. Not going to happen just yet, but I tell you what, within a lap or two, I think we will have a new leader.
Very possible that we will indeed. I mean, talk about a driver right there. Started 34th and now is in second position, battling it out up front. It couldn't be any better than that. So plenty of racing to go, so anything can happen. But for sure, Pedro is in a perfect position for him to just stay behind and will make Daniel Falkingham kind of push his car to the limit and have something to give at the end if this were to go all the way to the green.
Yeah, it looks like he will lead that lap as well. And that's, I think, his first lap led right there. And yes, it is. And I tell you what, look at that. He's already got, what, a car length, maybe half a car length at the minimum away from Falkingham. He has got a lot of speed cranked up in that Chevrolet. And I don't think we've talked about him enough tonight. There's a lot there.
Yes, there is a lot there indeed. But you're talking about if you basically build a little too much of a gap, it can become problematic for you to kind of become a sitting duck, especially later on in the run. where Daniel Falconham and David Comstock are kind of just working together, but he is pushing his race car perfectly and has an opportunity to really pull away, which is kind of shocking to see. It's really difficult to do that here sometimes, but if you do have the right strategy and you do figure out how to drive this racetrack, then I think most likely you can do exactly what Pedro is doing and just pull away.
Excuse me. Yeah, without a doubt. And right now, one driver you want to keep an eye on, I think that's going to be Justin Fuller. You know, he was in that crash earlier, but when he was up front, you know, early on in the night, he was the contender for the lead. He's getting by David Comstock right now, puts it in low. He's going to get a run on him. They'll be neck and neck coming through 3 and 4 off the corner. Still even, but I think maybe Comstock gets the better run down the straightaway. But I think through the corner, Fuller's going to pull on him, and we'll see what happens. But I got a feeling Justin Fuller just got a better run in, but maybe not. No, he definitely did. He'll pull on him, maybe not get him clear, but it's going to happen sooner rather than later. But at any rate, I think Fuller's one to watch as well.
Indeed, he has been the one to watch for a couple of weeks now. I think finally Comstock's going to say, okay, take this position, get right in front of me so that I can have somebody to draft with, and also so we don't lose a lot of time, because sometimes you'll just get stuck in that trance where you're just kind of going side by side. Dancing around is what they kind of like to call it as well. So good thing for both of them just going kind of single filing it out. And well, David Comstock knows it's about the long run and not the short run, so he's still got plenty of time to try and push for a race lead, or push to try and pass his teammate and the 51.
Fuller's got second now. I tell you what, that 51 is dialed up something that we have not thought about. Because whatever it is, he has gotten it, and he is going for it.
Yeah, exactly. You talked about that as well. And we didn't see him up front that much in this second stint of what we would kind of call. And now, of course, he's back up front, so most likely he was just saving his stuff, saving a little bit of fuel and saving his tires to try and make it to where he could push and have a great opportunity at a race win. Now, of course, Pedro's got to be thinking to himself, as long as I just run my own race, there's no problem in, well, just trying to gain some more time. But for sure, Justin Fuller has something for this race lead.
Yeah, and right here you can see a little further back, drivers starting to battle for position. Look at Michael Yarrow, 14th place. Yarrow gets the pass on Scott Simley. Yarrow started 39th tonight. I want to point that out. So what an incredible run. Where do you think he's going to wind up? I got a feeling that we're going to see that 85 in the top 10 here tonight.
There's a very good possibility that we will see him in the top 10. He's still moving up positions. He is sitting in 14th place. But look, he's not that far behind from 13th. And of course, then he'll have to make some work for 12th. But we all know that there's probably going to be at least one more pit stop for these drivers, just trying to get tires at least. Given that there's no caution. If there is a caution, then of course we'll have probably still for sure another pit stop to go. So he could still make up plenty of positions like that, given he stays out of anything.
Yeah, and you notice as soon as he got by that 12 car, he's opened that gap up to about 3 car lengths, I think that is. So, you know, he's got the speed there, Michael Yarrow does. He just got to harness it. He'll be going for Glenn Campbell next as we get ready for what will be our final round of pit stops. Well, Jacob, put on your crew chief hat. What would you do for the last round?
Last round of pit stops. I know there's multiple strategy calls that can do it, but I would say go for 4 fresh tires no matter what. That's kind of that key there. Yes, you can go for 2 tires, but that will only really hurt your run in the end. At least with like 10 laps to go, you'll just really have nothing else to give. So 4 fresh Goodyear tires will give you enough to really get something to go. Now, when will they take that pit stop? I'd say 10 to maybe even 15 laps from now, we'll start to see a couple of drivers go down pit lane and really just try and do exactly that, because there's still plenty of racing left. You want to have that window where these tires can make it for about 50 laps. So, yeah, exactly around that time, it's like 100 laps. That would be perfect. They can push a little bit more than if they would with 50 to go.
Yeah, back to this battle for the lead. Justin Fuller closing it in to about 0.3 of a second. You think we see a pass before the final pit stop? And that's the question.
It's very possible that we'll see a pass before this final pit stop. Look at how much Justin Fuller has been able to close in on Pedro. And like I talked about, really think that Justin Fuller did save something. That's why he's been able to really push and talk about it. That's really what this track is all about, especially with the green flag pit stops or green flag runs. These long green flag runs are going to be are going to be how much you can save these tires. We'll probably see that next week as well and throughout the season. So this is something that we're kind of going to grow accustomed to as drivers like maybe Justin Fuller or even EJ O'Rourke kind of coming from the back of the field and just pushing their way to the front at the end of a stop or at the end of a stint.
Yeah, and right now, Justin Fuller, I mean, he continues to close in. It is down to, what is that, not even half a car length, maybe a quarter of a car length? About a quarter panel length. He is right there on the back end of Pedro's car. Down the front straightaway, side by side. You know Fuller's going to get the lead through the corner. It's not even going to be a question. He got a brilliant run in. He's going to get a good run off through the center. There it is.
Exactly. The car did not get too tight, which is very impressive from Justin Fuller. As in, sometimes when you dive it down like that, even if it's a great entrance, sometimes the car will want to just slide up into your opponent, like in that, for instance, was Pedro. So, very impressive pass there, and now we might not even see Justin Fuller for a little longer, or at least Pedro might not see Justin Fuller for a little bit, as I think he's going to take off to maybe the tune of half a second.
Yeah, well, we'll see now. Will Pedro pit earlier than he would have planned on before, or you think he's going to still run his whatever he was originally planning?
Well, you never want to be the first car in pit lane, but there is,
and
well,
yep,
there he goes.
Earlier.
He's going down pit lane.
I'm not surprised by that, to be honest. When you have that kind of happen, you see Beasley follows him in and stuff. When you have that happen, you lose the lead. He probably thought, well, why not pit now? And it's not a bad idea, you know?
Not in the slightest. A perfect opportunity to try and maybe make something happen. Now, of course, he will not in any means have the fresher tires, but we're kind of already starting to see a couple of cars maybe come down pit lane a little bit later. Now, as we go on to lap 133 laps to go, that's exactly the time where, guess what, you can go down pit lane and be one of the fresher tires. Now, something else is, do you stay out and hope for a caution? Because that could also play into account for some of these drivers maybe in 14th position.
Yeah, and right now you see Justin Fuller pulling away. And you mentioned you've seen some drivers pit. I've been watching the ticker, and I've seen over the last maybe 10 laps, I've been seeing drivers, the little in-pit thing pop up. And I think it's just getting a little bit more intense now. You see Simley down pit lane. You're going to see a lot more drivers pitting within the next, I think, 5 or 10 laps. But it's been happening for about 10 laps now, since about 40 to go. Yeah, it is some great racing here.
Just absolutely spectacular racing. Dave Comstock in second place. Daniel Falkingham in third place. EJ O'Rourke just goes up to fourth. So yeah, it might be that a couple of drivers are starting to make their way down pit lane. But at that same time, it just looks like a couple of switching of positions. That means maybe drivers saving a little bit more than others. As talked about this, EJ O'Rourke in 4th position. Now, he was my pick to win it at the start of this race before we really saw everybody coming into play. But he has an opportunity to do that exact same thing. He could come in down pit lane and be out and maybe, of course, catch up to whoever will be the race leader when everybody makes their pit stops and have an opportunity to really control the race from the end of the race.
Yeah, without a doubt. And right now, only 31 laps to go. Control of the race, probably one of the most important things a driver could have at this moment. 3 wide down the front stretch. It is, I believe, Cataloni up on top. Who is that who is the unfortunate soul in the middle, the 28?
I believe that was Anthony.
Yeah, that is Cataloni. You're right.
Yeah, exactly. Cataloni, he decided to back out of the middle, which is very smart to do. I've had some bad things happen to me when I've been stuck in the middle or on the outside of a 3 wide situation, not necessarily knowing that there was a car on my inside as well as, of course, in the middle, thinking that the car next to me was on my inside is what I kind of meant to say there. So, smart job of just backing off. It doesn't look like he has too much pace to give, so he could be coming down pit lane in a moment's notice.
And right here, it is still close racing. This is how we saw the first caution occur. It was drivers on old tires, drivers on fresh tires right around each other. And that's what happened. I got a feeling we might see that again. What do you think? EJ O'Rourke's the race leader, stuck on that high lane.
Yeah, very possible that we do see it again. Yeah, EJ O'Rourke stuck on the high line. Now, of course, it's a matter of when do you want to come down pit lane, just due to the fact of, well, the pace of the car. If you're losing way too much time, you will really need to go down pit lane. It seems like the car is extremely tight on exit as he goes all the way up the racetrack. So, in my opinion, I'd say pit now and cut the losses.
And right now, side by side here, O'Rourke can't pit. He's stuck on that high lane. He'll have to find his spot to squeeze in. And this is where the problem was last time. You remember, I don't remember who it was that was trying to pit. It was Justin Fuller who was trying to pit and got plowed over. So he's got a problem. He's got to find where he can slot in, you know?
Yeah, exactly, and that's if he wants to slide in and try to pit, because if I'm not mistaken, that last time around, he did have an opportunity to really slide into the inside line, as like right now, just kind of blocking the inside line, but not going to do it, as now he's going to be handled 3 wide, and guess who's going to pass him for his lap back, and that's going to be the 42.
I bet EJ's got to pit soon, and I'm surprised it hasn't been this lap. I imagine he's just waiting for the caution.
Yeah, exactly. Now it's just a matter of just waiting for a caution flag to fly to have an opportunity, but also a good strategy to also try and pull is, well, if you go down pit lane now, guess what? You could have a caution flag fly when you're in pit lane. That's sometimes we've seen that actually happen as a good thing.
And right here you can see EJ O'Rourke still staying out. It is a very interesting situation right now. The fact that he has not come down pit lane. Again, I imagine he's just waiting out for the yellow.
Yeah, exactly. Now it's just a matter of the waiting game. Nothing else that he can do besides maybe just hitting 5 laps earlier, but of course too late for that. And now it's just trying to work on getting down pit lane or waiting for a caution, because he's also lost his race lead. As I missed that, Anthony Calatoni in the lead now, so that's going to be an interesting turn of events too.
And you see Chad Cole a little bit further back. That is third place right now. He's a little bit faster. Look at Daniel Falkingham. Again, that's the difference. New tires versus old tires. And that is a big difference right there.
Definitely a huge difference. It is amazing how much the difference makes with fresh tires compared to, well, old rubber on your tires, of course, with the cord basically starting to come loose on your car sometimes. It just really does show you how important it is to save your tires and also to try and just pit as soon as possible when that pit lane opens.
And right now, 113 laps in. Here's Dwight Beverly getting by EJ O'Rourke. Every time I see EJ's car from the back tonight, I want to call it a DeWalt car, because that trans service paint scheme just looks, it reminds me so much of Matt Kenseth's old DeWalt scheme. It's the same yellow.
100% agree with you there, especially on the top. That's where the same yellow is. I take that back, actually. Just the whole car reminds me of it, especially, I think I still have it as well, the 17 DeWalt car where it was a die cast and you could dip it in water and it would change color for a second.
Oh, there you go. That's a bit interesting. So right here, I mean, I'm amazed EJ stayed out this long, aren't you?
Yeah, it's very amazing indeed, as the three cars trying to get by him on the outside as well. So just EJ O'Rourke, talk about it. It's crazy that Chad Cole hasn't tried to make a move on him as well, as he almost has nothing to defend with.
And right here, 19 under 20 laps to go. Anthony leads the show. When do you think we see these front runners pit?
I mean, they need to pit soon, because what's it going to be? It's going to be closer to 13 laps to go if they wait for 4 more laps too. So they'll kind of need to pit as soon as possible. Yes, they'll have the freshest rubber, but at that same time, they'll have more ground to gain with less and less time to go.
Yeah, I don't see us getting a caution anytime soon, unfortunately, for the drivers that have stayed out so long. And that's going to be the big issue now, is when they pit, they're not getting that time back, you know?
Yeah, exactly. They just really are not. And it's a bummer, but of course, you take the strategy how it goes. There's so many different ways to play out just a gamble, and basically that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, and right here, side by side, Glenn Campbell getting by for the race lead. The Irwin Tools machine looking fast. Where did he come from? I did not predict him to be up front, but I mean, I tell you what, here you are. He's having a great run at the moment. And it's pretty interesting to see how, I think, has Campbell pitted yet? I think he might have. Jacob, do you know?
Sorry, can you repeat the question? My speaker is having some trouble.
No issue. I was saying, you know, if Campbell's pitted yet, I've lost track. I don't believe he has.
I don't believe he has as well. I think he's with the front running field at the moment that has just kind of stayed out with 13 laps to go, which is just still mind-boggling to me as well, because I don't recall him pitting. I don't recall that this would be the front running. I think from the people who have pitted, I think it would start with Donnie Leo.
Yeah, and right here, I mean, great job for EJ and, you know, these guys up front, too, to be able to hold on to fuel for this long. I'm very, very surprised. But, I mean, hey, you know, maybe they got a little bit bigger fuel tanks. You know, a little messing around, but not really. But either way, great fuel saving, you know?
Exactly, and that might have been the whole reason why EJ O'Rourke hadn't really been up front that much, as finally 17 of Chad Cole able to pass EJ O'Rourke for position, so now he'll be in second place trying to catch up to Glenn Campbell. So it might be time for the 41 to dive down pit lane, as he might be running out of fuel and trying to save even more.
And right now, 11 laps to go at the stripe. So not a lot of racing left here. And the million-dollar question, multi-million-dollar question, if you will, do you think we see a caution flag? I'm going to say no.
I don't really see a caution flag either. It's just been spread out perfectly to where we could go green all the way through, unless somebody, of course, maybe blows a tire in the back of the field or in the front of the field, where, of course, Glenn Campbell, Chad Cole, and EJ O'Rourke, since they haven't pitted necessarily just yet, where we could see a popped tire up front. So unless something like that happens, or the driver's steering wheel goes out and it just turns them right into the wall and they spin out and collect a couple of other drivers, I don't really see a caution happening. Not even a digital water bottle being thrown on the racetrack.
And right now, 9 laps to go at the stripe. And yeah, I agree with you on that one. Someone's got to, one of their drivers, maybe they'll, you know, be able to take the foam padding off the roll cage.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that to bring out a caution would be great for, of course, the drivers up front. But for now, they're just going to stick it out and try to push as much as possible and stay on the podium. I mean, there's 125 laps out of 133, so very possible.
Yeah, and the only reason I mentioned the padding is because that happened in a real race. I forgot what year that was. I want to say mid-2000s, and it was in one of the Busch Series races. But that was the thing that certainly did happen.
Well, I mean, that's a pretty impressive story. We're gonna make me want to look up my NASCAR knowledge and maybe find a clip of it on YouTube or read about it somewhere for sure, because that sounds pretty interesting and controversial, almost like Spingate of Richmond.
7 more times around. Chad Cole has now taken the race lead. He's had it for 2 laps. Now, there's the 17 car. He should run a Matt Kenseth throwback at some point. Beautiful looking race car that is.
Yeah, exactly. Beautiful looking race car that is indeed. Chad Cole being out in the race lead, but he'll have to watch out for the one and only Justin Fuller, who does sit in 5th place, is to almost 3 seconds away, actually cut it to closer to 2 seconds, so you can tell he is pushing to try and get back up to where he was. Now Pedro is ahead of him, almost 2 seconds back of Chad Cole, and Glenn Campbell, of course, less than a second behind. So a lot of drivers coming for that race lead.
Yep.
And it probably will be taken away closer to the end of this race. We'll just have to wait and see.
I want to know what happened to the right front of Justin Fuller's car. You notice all the damage there. As he, and he's on a lot fresher tires, and I know he's been on those tires for what, 20 laps now, something to that effect. But they're still a lot fresher than, say, the 29 or the 44.
Yeah, I agree 100%, and probably just a matter for Justin Fuller of running the high line just a little too much and probably just touching the wall, making the right quarter panel stick up like that. Very possible indeed.
Yeah, it's a little bit interesting. I haven't seen that kind of flattening in a while, but there you have it. Chad Cole, your leader. If Fuller can get by the 29, I got a feeling he'll easily get by Chad Cole because, that 51 has got the speed.
Yeah, exactly. That 51 has got the speed, and so it has the 29 car of Pedro. So it will show a lot he can get by the 29 car for sure, because both of them have had that speed, and Justin Fuller has just had a little bit more, just like you said, and they'll use the 17 as a pick and try and go 3 wide here.
3 wide, yep, and look at the 29 Pedro. He dove it down there, and he tries to block Fuller. This is going to be dicey with 2 laps to go. Out of all the things I would do on old tires, and I know he doesn't want to lose this race, but out of all the things I would do on old tires, don't block the guy on fresher tires, because that's a surefire way to get yourself turned around.
It is, but I think that's going to be the only situation in this point for the 29 of Pedro to try and, of course, block here because, what else is there to do on the final lap?
Yeah, I got a feeling if he tries to throw a block on that 51 Justin Fuller, 1 lap to go now, if Fuller gets a run and Pedro puts the block on him, I got a feeling there's gonna be a crash. Excuse me, I'm terribly sorry.
Yeah, there could be a crash, and tempers could be flaring after the race, but for now it seems like they've been pretty clean all race long. Does the 51 have anything left to gain in turns 3 and 4?
Unless he just flat out turns him right here, and he's not going to. And in fact, he got too tight. He dove it in. He got a great run, but he got so tight through. That'll be that. Pedro, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that last name. He wins the race. Justin Fuller comes up second. And I'm not surprised at all. Because, you saw the way Fuller, he had to try and do something. But the way he dived it in there, you knew it wasn't going to stick.
Yeah, exactly. Pedro he did it perfectly. He blocked at the right time and made it pay off perfectly, as in he just kept going kept his line. He held his line is what I meant to say. And that's all he needed to do there.
And you see the finishing results scrolling across the top of your screen. What a finish. What a race. I was surprised because you know who was able to hold on to their fuel till the end of the race? I think E.J. O'Rourke managed to.
Exactly, same here. Very impressive, as he'll be able to score himself a top 10 finish in 9th place. Yes, he did start in 3rd position, but finishing at a top 10 at a very demanding racetrack, especially on older tires than the rest of the field, shows you how much skill this field has.
Well, I'll let you get the interview in with our race winner. Take it away.
All right, Pedro, how you doing?
Good, man. Feels good to get a win. First time in this league on Saturday night, and it's awesome to start from the back and make my way forward methodically, and with a little pit strategy, pitting early there, we were able to get the win.
Exactly. A perfect strategy to fit indeed. So, I guess talk about the car. How's it handling through those long runs?
It was pretty tight, I would say. But just the biggest thing was just trying to manage your right front, or manage your tires through the run, and know when to push and when not to push. There at the beginning, manage the tires. That really paid off in the long run. Was able to get right there to the top 10. But there, after we had the few cautions in the middle of the race, figured try to push harder and try to cut the distance in half for that last pit stop. So made it tight for sure, but was able to hold on.
Well, that's pretty great. And of course, just take us through that last lap battle. I know you had to get through some traffic before you got back to the race lead. And how are you able to just defend Justin Fuller? I know he was coming in a heartbeat.
Yeah, honestly, Justin probably would have had me if he didn't have a little damage there. It looks like he got a little damage when we were maneuvering around all this slower traffic. Everybody's on different strategies with trying to save fuel, making it to the end, and guys like us on fresh tires just trying to rush through the field. Honestly, that probably was my saving grace, because he had a little bit fresher tires than I did, which showed in the corners, but down the straightaway, he had a little damage there that would hold him back, so I was able to hold on there.
All right. Do you think that this momentum will help you in Texas, as we're going back to another 1.5-mile track, a little bit more similar, though, to Atlanta, though?
Yeah, I think so. I like Texas, though I haven't raced the new config, so I'm interested to try that, see how that goes. But yeah, I think if you're usually pretty decent at these kind of racetracks like Homestead, you'd be pretty decent at Texas as well.
All right. Well, any sponsors or anybody that you'd like to thank?
Thank you guys for doing this broadcast. Thanks Sim500 for letting me race with you guys, every other night or every night or whenever I can race. It's a really great league and appreciate it. And was it good battles with Justin Fuller, David Comstock, Richard Beasley, Byron Daly, Donnie Leah, Daniel Falkingham, and there was a lot of great battles there with everybody, and really appreciate the clean racing that this league provides.
All right. Well, congratulations on the race win. Hopefully we get to talk to you again next week, and we'll just have fun.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you guys. It was awesome.
All right, and next up on the interview block, it is Justin Fuller. Justin, you went for it on the final lap. You went just a little bit short of going full send. Walk us through that final lap.
I had too much damage on the right side, so I didn't have any speed on the straightaways. I was a lot better on the corners. I didn't have fresh enough tires to make up for the dirty air, so I couldn't get as good of a run as I needed to get to his Pedro's inside. But yeah, I wasn't gonna hit him. I was just hoping to scare him and maybe he'd make a mistake. So I just drove it in there really deep, and he didn't. He stayed calm, and well-deserving win to him.
Now, how did that car handle for you? Because, I noticed you got the damage. How did it handle with the damage? Because it looked like it would definitely be affecting your aerodynamics.
Yeah, I was definitely slower on the straightaways. Probably a couple miles an hour, honestly. So, I couldn't accelerate as fast. There shouldn't be anything the damage that I had should not have affected me at all. If you look at a real world car, in NASCAR, that would have been perfectly fine, but the fantastic damage model we have here in iRacing. So it is what it is. It was just an honest mistake on my part and Bill Schoonover. He didn't know I was coming. I thought he was staying high. We just made contact, and I was able to carry on. He carried on with his race. We just came up a little bit short.
All right. Well, anyone you want to thank? Sponsors, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I want to thank Coastal Safety Auditors for sponsoring this series. You guys are putting on the broadcast, all the admins of Sim500. I want to thank Nemesis Lab with Sean Yoder for sponsoring me. He pretty much sponsors me across everything, so go check him out. Tim Terry with Tim's Corner Motorsports for sponsoring me as well. Everybody at Aftermath Motorsports, Trey Edson Designs, everybody that raced tonight. That was a fun race. I really run these races just to get practice for Monday nights, because that's the main series that I run here at Sim500. So usually on the weekends I don't have my kid. I come here and I try and run some laps, and I think Monday night would be pretty good. And thanks for having me, and thanks for putting on the broadcast.
All right. Well, good. Hope to see you. Have a good night, and hope to see you up front next week again.
Thanks. Have a good one.
All right. Last up on the interview block, Jacob Young with the one and only Chad Cole.
We got you.
All right, Chad Cole, how you doing?
Oh man, we're pretty worn out after that one. That was a long, mentally draining race, a long green run there. Didn't think I'd have a chance there. Definitely, I knew I wouldn't be on the podium talking to you guys if it wasn't for the strategy. Probably, I don't know, 7th, 8th place car. Heads up with everyone else, but we'll take the 3rd place finish. You know, I saw Pedro and Fuller coming. Must have been, I don't know, like 12 to go or something like that. So I started pushing flat past EJ and Glenn, and just didn't do a good enough job saving because I could have pushed earlier if I did a better job, and that was kind of the difference. I ran out of fuel off turn 4, so if I started pushing any sooner, it would have been short big time. So that's kind of the way it goes. You know, that long green run, those guys that do pit, they're going to have fresh tires and have plenty of time to catch up, and they did.
Yeah, I guess so. Just strategy call was trying to. I mean, what really brought up that strategy to try and make it on fuel in the end?
Well, just the timing of that last caution, I knew it was going to be close. I've been watching the fuel all night, and decided to try for it. And it just came up a little bit short, but it's better than, like I said, it was better than what it would have been heads up. So happy with that. I just wish I did a little bit better job saving it. It's really tough to save in this car as much time you're on the throttle, and you have guys breathing down your neck every lap. So it's really tough to break away from guys and get an opportunity to save when you have as much draft as you do, sucking people up next to you and behind you, and it's a handful.
So I guess, would you expect this type of racing next week at Texas with just trying to save and strategy calls and all that?
I'm not really sure what to expect at Texas next week. This will be our first time going to that track since it's been reconfigured since iRacing released it to us. So it's a little bit different at 1 and 2, but it's still another mile and a half, and you never know, it can get those long green runs like we did tonight. So you got to be prepared for anything. You never know what's going to happen, if it's going to be a wreck fest, or you might get some green flag stops. You just never know. So you got to come prepared with a game plan and be prepared for everything.
All right. Anybody that you like to thank, sponsors, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I got to give a shout out to Trans Service. They're on my hot rod for the Saturday night and Monday night series. So happy to have them on board. Got that cool paint job from Chris Giblets Jabot, and hanging out with Jose and Kevin tonight. They're always fun to hang with. And got to give a shout out to Coastal Safety Auditors for sponsoring the Saturday night series as well.
All right. Well, congratulations on 3rd place, and hopefully we get to talk to you next week as well.
All right, thank you guys a bunch.
All right, folks, and from all this, the American Sim Network, we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. We'll see y'all in the next one. Have a great night, everybody.